By now, you guys are already aware of this Joe Budden, Tasha K, and Cardi B saga. Cardi B told Joe Budden she didn't like the fact that he interviewed Tasha K.
I just feel like it's like he has an issue with me, and it was beyond the critique of bongos. It's just like you inviting bitches that said the rudest, nastiest shit. But when Maya and Rory say we fuck shit about you or lies about you, you get so defensive. You want to clear it up.
And so far, Joe being a figurehead in black media looked like he didn't cater to the artist, and he's not putting out his Tasha K interview. So Tasha K took to her platform to unleash and unload on Joe Budden.
And he has every right to do what he wants to do with his platform. This is not what this is about. This is about him getting it out the mud, having to rebrand himself after they labeled him a drug addict, a woman beater, all of these things. But I should have known that when he sat his ass on Drink Champs and he said out his own mouth that when Jay-Z calls, he gets scared. And I said that to him in the interview that I did. I said, you and I, you know, even though we're the same, but the way you move and the way I move is different. Jay-Z can't call me and tell me to bark. He can't call me and tell me to bite. Jay-Z don't pay none of y'all bills, but for you to be a black man to sit up and just bow down to this other black man and he ain't did a motherfucking thing for you, he didn't even remember saying that. But then when I hear, you know, oh, he's got to comb through the interview, he's got to make sure this and make sure that, I bodied each and every one of those black men to the point that all of them said after they were done, we're winos.
Earlier in the week, we were told by Tasha K that Joe Budden was not putting out their interview. More than likely because Cardi B didn't like Joe Budden interviewing Tasha K. But now, Tasha K is saying that Joe Budden is telling her that he is still editing this and editing that and got to remove this and remove that. And she's saying, bruh, I came and I spat nothing but truth. Put out everything we talked about. Don't edit nothing.
I sat outside and I had a conversation with this black man. I said, you know what's sad is that we cannot, as black media, stick together for the betterment of the people. And he was like, black media will never do it. Black media will never do it. And now he's literally owning up to his own words. We're black media. We're not supposed to be friends. We're not supposed to have industry colleagues to the point where it affects the work. When it starts to affect your work and your judgment, when a BBL starts to fuck with your mind and your dick and you make bad decisions based off of outside aesthetics and you ignore doing the right thing, but when the BBL turns around and tries to say you kicked babies out of her stomach and broke ribs, now you want the non-BBL bitch to speak up for you.
Tasha K will also take to Twitter to thank No Jumper and Adam22 for not being scared of releasing the interview, and damn near saying that Joe Budden is shook and he's a lapdog for these rappers and industry players. Now, Adam and Joe been going back and forth the last couple months after their first interview, so Adam took the opportunity to relish on this moment of Joe being too scared to drop something while him being brave enough to drop it. And he had a message for Joe as well.
Man, I got the podcast game on my back right now. Joe Budden had Tasha K come all the way out to Jersey and do a multiple-hour interview. She was happy about it when I seen her, and he's not dropping it. He's scared to death of Cardi B. He's scared to death of Offset. He don't want to have another run-in in the mall with the QC goons like he did. Remember, Everyday Struggle was actually really entertaining before QC told him that he wasn't allowed to talk about their artists anymore. And that's when you saw him really simmer down, brought the temperature down a whole lot.
Adam is referring to when Joe Budden made these statements about Lil Yachty on Everyday Struggle.
What do you think the culture thought about Lil Yachty's new album cover? Teenage Emotions, tracklist is out, cover art's out, it's coming soon. Joe?
You know how I feel about Yachty. I never want to talk about Yachty. I don't think that Yachty is hip-hop. I don't think that Yachty's label is hip-hop.
Did you hear Peekaboo?
I don't think that Yachty is hip-hop. I don't think that Yachty's label is hip-hop. And when you're not hip-hop and you're trying to just troll or exploit, you get things like this.
Saying Lil Yachty isn't hip-hop was a real popular opinion at that particular time. But saying his label, which is QC with COP, Lil Baby, Migos, etc., saying they aren't hip-hop was a wild statement as well. But then when Lil Yachty came on Everyday Struggle and sat across from Joe, Joe's tone switched fast as hell.
Right? The other day, I said some things on this show, whenever that was, and when I watched it back, I thought it was harsh. I'll be honest. I thought it was harsh, number one, because of your age. I thought it was harsh because I do believe that there's an entire community of hip-hop that y'all are in charge of, right? So, is that sounding old guy mad still?
No, it sounds like you know you fucked up and you're trying to bring it back.
I ain't fucked up.
What you said? Let me
And we all know what happened at the BET Awards when Joe Budden had a standoff with the Migos. But what Adam is referring to when he says that P hit up Joe was when Joe told a story about how P, the CEO of QC, seen Joe Budden at the mall in LA when he was buying socks before the BET Awards, and he told Joe to lay off Lil Yachty and stop being harsh on him and stop speaking on him in a bad manner. And since then, Joe Budden hasn't really had any critiques for Lil Yachty, like at all, which shows that maybe Joe can be a lapdog for these industry dudes if they really apply pressure on Joe Budden. Just like Cardi B tried to apply pressure and he folded, QC and he folded.
But I mean, if you're Tasha K and you went all the way to Jersey to do an interview, that when I talked to her, she was real happy about the interview, and he's not dropping it because he's scared of Cardi B. Like, what kind of shit is that? That's not why I got in the podcast game. I didn't get in the podcast game to be running around acting like a hoe. Hoe Budden, you acting like a hoe, and nobody respects it. Your fans are losing interest because you're not keeping it real.
Obviously, Joe and Adam has their own little thing going on. But for me specifically, I feel like that's a legitimate fear. Because if Joe is barking on his podcast and all it takes for him to silence his barks is for somebody to give him a call that's in the industry that could affect his career, then at that point, bro, like, what are we doing, right? Like, why would I listen to Joe Budden when I know that his opinion can clearly be bought? And that's coming from me, a big Joe Budden fan. So if I feel that way, then it's not hard for me to imagine that some people, you know, may not take his words as seriously no more or as the gospel no more because they fear that he's not keeping it real with them.
Now, more than ever, it's important that we support real, independent media. Because as you can see, even a podcast like the Joe Budden podcast, which for a time was a symbol of independent hip-hop media, it has been co-opted by the deep state, Cardi B and Offset, the deep state. And, you know, there's no coming back from that. For me, it's kind of disappointing, you know. Not only is this guy like setting his hosts up against each other and trying to create all this internal drama, basically copying No Jumper.
Now, when I made a video about the social experiment that Joe Budden is taking his co-host through, and it seems as if he's copying the old No Jumper, y'all thought I was crazy. Well, it looks like the owner of No Jumper thinks the same. So maybe I'm not so crazy after all.
But now he's scared to drop like real legitimate interviews with powerful black creators. Man, that's a sad situation. I don't even know what to say about it. The great have fallen and 22 is on the rise. So if you want some real content, you know where to go. YouTube.com/NoJumper. Go check out that Tasha K interview. Joe Budden was too bitch made to drop his. Boom!
Hey, listen, man. Clearly, y'all don't value my opinion when it comes to Adam and Joe because, you know, obviously I have a bias there or, you know, I have an invested interest in one party and not the other. But I'll be real, bro. Like right now, like Adam is spitting. Joe looking a little flawed in these streets, man. Yo, this here reminds me of when academics will go on the I don't like these rappers. I hate the industry. I'm against the industry rants like really early on into his career. And that's because, bro, like you want for the people to know who are watching you, bro, that your opinion is 100% yours and is not being bought, is not manufactured, is not a lab-made opinion because you're trying to please somebody or you're being forced to give this opinion, right? Right? You want people to trust your opinion. And Joe Budden, for the longest, had an opinion that we could trust. In this saga, it's starting to look like, bro, we can't really trust the opinion that Joe Budden is going to give, all right? Because it can be bought. But I'm going to wait and give Joe the benefit of the doubt to put out the Tasha K interview. If he doesn't, hey, bro. Joe, it's looking dark out here for you, man. All right, it's your boy, Porter Flacco, man. Like the video, sub to the channel, comment for the algorithm. While you at it, man, click the video somewhere on my screen to find out why Nicki Minaj is going to jail soon if she keeps doing this. Click on this video to find out what I'm talking about, right? I'm going to see you guys in this video. I'm out of here, folks. Peace.